Jay here from Stretford, Paddock. This is it. This is the big one. It's not really. I can't even bring myself to fully say that, but it is the big one because we've got Ryan Hopper with us, RHEliteCoaching. It's the Aston Villa game, the final game of the season at Old Trafford. I was hoping we'd be celebrating, Hopper. I thought this could be it. We could be having our lap of honour. We could have the trophy, the Europa League trophy with us, but we haven't. And yet the season is going to end, as it's been pretty much all throughout, with a bit of a whimper, really.
Yeah, it's one of them. We don't really want to talk about it, do we? But we are going to talk.
I was about to say it's going to be a short preview.
Yeah, we don't really want to talk about it. I think when you're talking lap of honours, I think the lads will be running around. They'll be running around.
Do you think they'll do
right.
that?
Oh.
Do you think, because they do it every year, don't they?
I think.
Do you think they'll run like literally a lap of honour around the pitch? If you can call it a lap of honour, it's just a. I suppose it needs another name.
I think they'll do it because again, it's tradition and stuff like that. Whether people will stay to applaud the lads, I don't know. But again, fantastic fan base who get behind the boys. I know it's not everyone's the same, but I'm sure people will be there to clap them off.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm going to be there with my kids, and I think my kids will want to stay. And even though that my kids are big Reds and they're upset about what happened in Bilbao, they'll still want to acknowledge the players, and hopefully this will be the sort of the rock bottom, the dark days before we turn things around. I know we've said that before. I mean, if you can briefly just sum up this season, what have you made of it? Is there any positives for this season, or has it just been a complete and utter disaster? I
think let's have it right. I think if we're being open and honest, it has been a disaster in terms of the performance levels, the results. You've always got to look at the league table to see where we're at and what we've achieved this season. I think if we would have won the final, I think that would have it's a trophy, it's success, but does really hide the cracks? No, because there needs to be a lot of, for me it needs to be a proper rebuild, but have we really got the finances to get rid of players, to bring people in? Is it going to be a slow process? It's been a disappointing one, and I think everyone feels that way, and that's why we're talking the way we are. We feel deflated, and I think if you're a player, you'll know that yourself. I've seen it over social media over the past few days with the final, and players acknowledging that the final and apologising to the fans. They'll know. They've got professional standards. They realise that this season has been far from perfect, and if anything, you've got to go out against Villa and give the fans something to be happy about, because this season we've been far from happy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that the players who are picked do, well, I don't know, I presume the old squad's going to be there, but they do need to show something, don't they? They need to give the fans. I mean, this isn't going to make up for this season. Even if we were to win 5-0, which I don't think we will, but if we were to batter Villa, that doesn't make everything okay. But you at least want to see us turn up for the final game of the season, another home game, sort of try and make this run that we've had with so many home defeats, try and bring it to an end. Don't just end with yet another home defeat, because our home record in particular has been absolutely abysmal. Yeah, and as fans, you can get a bit, not just frustrated, but you can get infuriated when you're just constantly watching a team that doesn't turn up. So I think to end the season with a win or a performance, you can at least say, look, we get it. It's almost like a way of an apology, innit? Showing a little bit of pride for the badge, pride for the shirt, because we'd all love to be able to represent United. These guys, I know they work hard to get there, but they are lucky enough to represent the club we all adore, and they need to start showing the same sort of level of passion and enthusiasm that the fans are showing, because we're just not seeing it enough this season. And I think that, yes, it is probably too little too late, but at least end the season with some sort of pride restored, even if it's almost irrelevant in terms of league positions, isn't it?
I think, if you talk about any footballer, personal pride, no one wants to go out on the pitch and get beat. I think, the performance levels of individuals as well as of a collective has been far from good enough. I feel like you said, it's not going to change anything if they go out, but work hard, like you identified there, all season, home and away. The fans have been there throughout, loud, encouraging them. We've got to look at the final, the sacrifices that the fans have made, travelling over there, different routes, staying in bus stations, airports, going above and beyond for the cause and creating that famous atmosphere, because it was electric. I know you was there, but it was electric. The fans was right behind them, and it was disappointing, but you've got to go out there and show a bit of heart and a bit of desire, and that shouldn't be just for the final game or let's tick the box. That goes for every single game in the season. I know it's a cliche, but this is a monster of a club. It's Manchester United. We have an expectation, and it's fell this season's fell way, way, way below expectation.
No, it has. I couldn't agree more. With all that being said, let's talk about our predicted teams. Oppa, we'll start with yours. Just to be clear as well, we're recording this before we've had any updates. I think there might even be a presser from the manager. Someone was saying it could be on Saturday, but we're recording this anyway before we've had the latest update from Ruben Amorim. But you've gone with Andre Onana in goal. If I do it as a back five, you've got Dorgu and Mazraoui as your wing backs. Dorgu, I think you've got on the left, Mazraoui on the right, and then we've got Shaw, Maguire, and Yoro. Obviously, that was the back three from the Europa League final. You've gone with Bruno Fernandes, your boy, and Manuel Ugarte. If anyone doesn't know, Oppa, RHEliteCoaching has coached the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford, Chido, Ilanga, Delo, so many players. Does such a great job. And then the front three of Ahmad, Xerxes, and Garnacho. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, and I think look at that team. That could have been the team that started the final. Maybe Casemiro had to start the final, but it's very, very strong team you've got there. Do you expect the manager to go for it then in terms of, look, I'm going to pick a strong team, try and get to get a result there?
Yeah, when you asked me that question about the predicted 11, I was a bit unsure because I was thinking, what do I think he'll go with? But then could he do a complete U-turn and go, you know what, lads, you've had your opportunity this season. I'm going to integrate the young lads in. I'm going to give, Fredrickson, I'm going to give Amas, I'm going to give Chido opportunities. So I was a little bit unsure. But for me, I think, again, this ain't just, it's no charity. Do you understand what I mean? This is the Premier League. And if I was him, I would be fielding this sort of team to make a bit of a statement going into next year, because if you look at the players in that team there, like, they've got to be playing for a shirt next year as well.
Yeah.
Like, some of them have, if you go through it, Dorgu has come in and shown a little bit, but he needs to show a lot more. I don't think he really does.
I think you're right, but I think there's a player there.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Like, his athleticism and the way he's built. He reminds me of Evra when he first come. I know different statures and stuff like that, but the similar. I reckon he's a massive player in there. Shaw hardly played all season. Needs to play.
Does well for finals, doesn't he, Shaw?
He does.
Getting there. I don't mean his performances. Like, barely played for England, and
he plays in a final.
Yeah, he barely played for United all season, and ends up getting fit just in time for the final. I'm not saying there's anything sinister going on there, but I'll be honest with you, I was disappointed in Luke Shaw in that final. I thought he was a little bit, especially in that first. I thought he was a bit wasteful with the ball, and I wanted a bit more from some of the senior players, and they just didn't turn up. But that's we don't need to reopen old wounds. Fernandes and Ugarte not getting any minutes.
It's not, and that's the reason.
Well, was that a surprise to you?
It was a surprise, and I think I seen a video what Steve Howson done, and I think he was bob on. Like, Casemiro, when it comes to the Europa League, playing the European sides, he looks absolutely fantastic. But when it's the Premier League, I just feel like it's a bit too fast for him. And I think that's shown in the final. I think Ugarte, he does what he does. He's rats around and he gets the ball, gets it, gives it. I think we needed a little bit of energy in there. Needed someone a bit nasty as well. I know Casemiro has their moments, but mobile, nasty, just to ruffle a few feathers a little bit. I think it was a little bit. The midfield for both teams, I don't think really stamps a foothold on the game. I think it was poor.
It was a poor game, wasn't it? It was one of the worst games of football I've watched in a while.
Yeah.
Though I'm not. This might sound bitter because Spurs got the win and that's what it's about. And I'd have taken a poor performance and a win over a poor performance 100%. And a loss any day of the week. But I don't think Spurs were particularly great. And
it wasn't a good final.
It felt like a real sort of drab affair. And two teams that are 16th and 17th in the league. Yeah, it showed.
Bruno plays all the time. Captain. The one that I put in, and I was a bit unsure. Well, there's two. Ahmad, I think he was a bright spark in the first 20 minutes. I think coming back from injury, he needs minutes, so I think he'll play. Garnacho, obviously, he's come out and his attitude not good enough. Come out and said what he said.
Yeah,
but I just feel like is he just going to play him to make a point, or is he just going to go, you know what, mate? Like, that's totally out of order. You sit there, you watch the game. Or is he going to... He could go both ways with that. Could prove a point. Well, you can play when I say you can play, and play him. And then Xerxes, I've gone with Xerxes because, again, he's come back in. I think he needs minutes. But I would love to see Chido play.
Yeah.
Yeah. that my loyalties lie there. But I would love him to play.
Well, you're not alone, and I hope that Cheeto, is the player that we've seen. You've seen it in your videos, seen it in the moments that he's had at United. He looks like a very, very talented young man, and I think next season could be a season where we see him playing a few more games and hopefully getting some goals as well. I understand your point of view completely, and there's a part of me that thinks, you know what, those lot that didn't turn up in Bilbao, for many of them, should be starting this game. I just wonder whether Amorim might go the other way. Just thinking about how the crowd are going to be, the way the season's gone, maybe playing a few youngsters, it gets the crowd sort of a bit more supportive, because no one wants to be arguing with young players. Some of you might be making the debut. Plus, there's one or two players that might need a bit of a breather, even though you might not want to give it him. And also, you mentioned the Garnacho situation as well. My team's a little bit different. Then I've gone with Bayern Day. I think last game of the season, he's played him before. He might just get the nod. I'm going with Amas on the left-hand side. Of Maguire, Lindelof and Fredrickson, and then Delot. Delot only played, was it 20 minutes? It actually looked quite live when he came on, Delot. He was pinging in a few crosses. I know he has his critics, but I like Delot, and I think he starts every game that he's fit for a reason. In midfield, I think he might give Bruno. I know your point about Bruno plays every game. I think he might just mix it up and give some of the players a breather. And I think Bruno, he might be mentally fatigued. I know he's a very resilient guy, but that was a big game for him. A final, European final. He's already lost one. The chance to sort of not redeem himself, because Bruno doesn't need any sort of redemption, but to win a Europa League final. And even though it pains me to say it, was probably one of his worst games in a while. He's a great player.
Yeah, no.
These for me, when I look at finals and big games, I look at our best players.
Correct.
I always look to the best players. I look to them and go, right, this is your moment. You're the one that, the reason United used to win big matches in the past, because we had those big players.
Big player, big moments.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Bruno. I think, Bruno, this is your moment. And I was saying it before the game, and it didn't really happen for him. And if anyone deserved to lift the medal this season, it's Bruno Fernandes. So I feel for the guy. I just wonder whether the manager might say, you know what, you just sit this one out. You've done enough this season. Have a bit of a breather. Kobbie Mainoo as well. 10 seconds in normal time for the final. Disgusting. Don't get me started. Ugarte, we've already mentioned. I think Jack Morehouse might make his debut for this one. Throw a youngster in, making his debut. Give him, we've had it before, haven't we, last day of the season, the likes of, I think was it Josh Harrop and players like that, who got the nod at the end of the season. So he might be a starter. I put Xerxes in a 10. I know he says he's a 9.5, and I think he could play there. Obviously, we've seen him play there. And I've gone with Cheeto up front. I like Cheeto, good player. He's been a bit unlucky not to get on the score sheet so far. And I think that could give us one small sort of positive end to the season if he was to get a goal before the season end. He really would.
I can see where you've gone with that. Where you've gone with that lineup. It's just so difficult to understand the mindset on what the manager's thinking.
Because he could do what you say and go, look, you know what? Go out there, you lot. Get us a win.
Play for next season.
Play for your chance to be here, and also show these fans that you get it.
Yeah.
My other part of me feels like he might feel, look, let's get the crowd on side with a few youngsters. Let's give a few of them an opportunity, and also let's give some of the senior pros a breather. Before we get into Aston Villa, take your phones out, film yourself in landscape like that, and send a score prediction of 30 seconds to paddockmatchday@gmail.com, and we will use that as part of our pre-match build-up on the watch-along. Aston Villa.
They do it all, don't they, this Paddock? There's some ideas that are coming out here. I love it. This is unreal. Hey, get doing it, because I tell you what, I'm going to do one. I'm going to do one.
You do one.
And it'll be on the preview. That's brilliant, that.
Right, we'll get you to do it on the preview. I love it. For Villa, they can obviously still get Champions League football. So there's a slim chance, I think, that City could end up without Champions League football this season if they lose. And is it Villa, Chelsea and Newcastle all win?
Possibly, I don't know.
I think Newcastle aren't playing Chelsea, are they? On the last day of the season?
No.
We've got Forest. Sorry, it says it there. Forgive me. So it's not likely. The likelihood is that City get Champions League.
Yeah.
Villa in with the shouts. They've got a lot more to play for than we have, obviously. I think if we win, we could potentially hit the dizzy heights of 14th. Is the best we can do. We need Wolves to lose and us to win, obviously, and then goal difference to help us edge past them. I mean, pathetic. I can't even be bothered getting into that. Villa have got some good players.
Yeah.
I tell you one player I want to talk about. I've been massively impressed with him this season.
Yeah.
We were linked with him a couple of years ago, and I was proper underwhelmed. But whenever I watch Villa, he's one that stood out for me, and it's Youri Tielemans.
Yeah.
I think he's having a fantastic season.
I
really
think he's very. I know it sounds a bit stupid. I think he's very underrated, in my opinion, because I feel like he won. If you look at their Player of the Year awards, he won quite a lot. I think he won 2 or 3. Fans player, players player, maybe. Just the fact that his overall performance, the way he takes control of a game, technically works hard. I think he's a massive influence in their team. We talk about Watkins or Rodgers and them type of players, but he's a top player. Very underrated in my opinion.
No, I completely agree. I feel he suffers a little bit because was it last season at Leicester? I think the wheels had come off. I think he didn't want to be there, and I don't think his performances were that great when people were looking at him maybe being linked with United. I was a bit like, really? But whenever I've watched Aston Villa, he stood out for me. With all that being said, then, bro, give us your score prediction.
I want to be positive, but I'm going to be realistic. I think it'll be 2-0 Villa.
Yeah.
I've always try and come on here and be positive, and with Man United fan, don't want them to get beat, but I've got to be realistic. Villa are a fantastic side, and we look at the sides that have come to Old Trafford this season and beat us. They're not as good as them. No. And I think where we're at, coming off a final defeat, morale's low, fans are, frustrated. I just feel like Villa are a top side, like you said, going for Champions League football. We've struggled against opposition that are a lot less. I just feel, again, I want to be positive and I want to give you, United are going to win like I always try and do, but I just feel like it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. Like, do you agree or do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree at all. I agree completely. Yeah. I think that ultimately, one thing we've got, not one thing, but a big issue we've got at United is the quality's not there. Yeah. It's not just about effort and energy and enthusiasm and passion and all that stuff. I wish it was. Yeah. I wish we had 15, 16, whatever, amazing players that just couldn't be bothered. Yeah. Because then you can say, well, if they turn up and they start trying, we'll win loads of football matches. I think there's a massive gulf in quality between this Manchester United team and where we need to be. And I think you're going to see that on Sunday.
But even, like you said, this Manchester United team and Aston Villa, you look around it, like we mentioned Tielemans, we mentioned Rodgers, Watkins. Like, Watkins is an absolutely goal machine. I think he's just
got
crazy.
He's become Aston Villa's all-time Premier League top scorer.
So, and then that's the difference. You've got a lad there that's just become all-time goal scorer for Aston Villa, who's an absolute goal machine, riding high on confidence, and then we've got a side like us who struggle to score goals.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's just complete contrast between two sides.
Night and day, innit?
Yeah,
everything about this game.
Yeah,
they're going for the Champions League spot. We're going for.
We're playing for nothing, and we're near the relegation zone.
Yeah, and we've just lost the final. Yeah. They've got a manager. I think that everyone has faith in, has believed in, and we've got a manager who,
and a style and a philosophy and a confidence.
Ruben Amorim, his last press conference was talking about, if the fans and the board don't want me, I can go. And I'm not saying I want him to go because I don't want him to stay, but it is just everything about these two teams is polar opposites, and it saddens me because Manchester United should be going into the last day of the season fighting for titles, not fighting for 14th.
Definitely.
You said 2-0. I'll go 3-1 to Villa. Yeah. I'm going to go with Cheeto to get his goal.
I would absolutely
I think that might just be a small bit of sunshine in a otherwise dreary season.
What I will say on that is I done a session with him last week, Cheeto, and again every time I work with him, sharp, hungry, wants it, and a bit of a joke that I just said to him, it's coming, he understands it's coming. Stretford end, I can see like a little goal in Stretford end. If you watch the video, he whips one binzer.
Yeah, make sure you follow RHEliteCoaching.
Whips one binzer, and I'm like, it's coming, Stretford end. So Cheeto, Stretford end, do it for the fans. Give something to lift us going into next season, mate.
When he does score, I'll ring you.
When he does
I'll
score,
be at the game. I'll
if he doesn't lift his shirt and up the RH on his shirt, I'm fuming.
I'll boo him.
I'm fuming.
When he does that lap at the end, I'll throw things out.
No, it's coming, mate.
You're out of order.
It's
good to see that. Go and check it out because Oppa sent me that and it cheered me up because I was feeling pretty low, and I looked at that and I said, you know what, there is a little
optimism.
Little bit of light at the end of this
Absolutely
tournament. You've got players like
fantastic
Gino will be. Yeah.
Absolutely
And I love the
fantastic
fact he's coming to you for extra coaching as well, because young
brilliant.
players, they're obviously getting coached at United.
No, he's hungry. He's hungry as
wants to
anything.
get that extra bit.
Like that desire and to get in the team and score goals. Hungry, sharp. Like wants to learn, wants to develop, and that's what type of players you want in your team. He's 17 years of age. I know he's been a little bit frustrated in terms of the chances. He was disappointed in the 2 that he missed in the game where he played. Can't remember what game it was where he dragged one wide. Like them little details. He's so obsessed with detail. So he was disappointed with that. That's why he wants to keep getting in, keep developing. And it's coming, it really is, and he knows it as well.
Yeah, that's good. I think you're right, and when I watch those videos, it sort of underlines that as well. So go and check that out. RHEliteCoaching, all over your socials. We'll tag him in. You know where to find him. Up the RH.
Right.
We're going to be back with the watch along, of course. So make sure you are hitting like, share, subscribe. That's been Ryan Hopper. I've been Jay Moy. This has been a preview. Can't get my words out. A preview for Manchester United's final game of the season at home to Aston Villa. Thanks for watching.